and start.
Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Casey McDonald and Scott McDonald, my father. I'm still home for Thanksgiving. Do I look any fatter to you than the last one that I've eaten?
No, not at all.
Shut up.
You look lovely.
I always look nothing. It's my beautiful genes.
You know,
It's my genetic.
Casey, I don't know if anybody knows this, but you're not a morning person.
No.
She does the thing we call the walk of the living dead when she gets up.
You mean I walk in the morning? I thought I just rolled.
No, just kind of gets out of...
I'm sorry, but you do not know how to wake people up. Either.
Oh, would you please?
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
gee.
You don't.
All right.
So he comes up to my ear and sniffs this morning and says, "You need a dog." And I'm like, I need a gun is what I need.
Oh, wow.
You do it because you know it's annoying.
I think we're starting a little dark. Okay.
You know it's annoying.
So our topic today is on what to do on a first date?
Yeah, we're going to go on a first date.
Okay. Can I start off with places I don't think you ought to go on a first date?
I bet I know what the first one is.
Okay, what? What do you think?
A movie theater.
Now, Casey, why would going to a movie not be a good idea on a first date?
Well, where do we begin?
Okay, what's wrong with it? Seriously, I'll interview you.
Okay.
What's wrong with it?
First reason, going to a movie on a first date is a bad idea. You don't actually get to talk to anyone. You sit there in a darkened theater facing something else for 2.5 hours. There's no interaction going on. You could see the movie separately and then have a date afterwards and then get something to talk about in the meantime.
Right.
But literally, you're in a giant room with other people seeing something that neither of you have ever experienced before, and hopefully you like it, and you don't know if you have. Unless there's a really specific reason that you're going to that movie together, it's a bad way to get to know anybody.
I agree. Now, I know that there's the International Film Festival, and if both of you guys met because you like going to international film, great. That's a fine date.
Mm-hmm.
And at W.C. Fields Film Festival, and you both...
What about a midnight showing of a nerd movie?
If you're both nerds, I think that's great.
Good.
If you're not both nerds and that's a reason you're together, I think it's a terrible date.
Do you know what? I went on a blind date once with someone to see the new Star Trek movie, and
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a Trekkie, just a tad, not as much as you are, but
Tread
I am
lightly.
a Trekkie.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm not as big a Trekkie as you are.
Yes, that's true.
And the guy that I went with on this blind date had never seen a Star Trek episode in his life. So I was laughing preemptively about stuff that was happening, and he thought I was out of my mind. The guy with the red shirt comes on and says, "I'm so excited!" And I know he's going to die. And I start laughing, and he's going, "What is wrong with you?"
Well, and so
He could have been a great guy,
but if you really wanted to see the movie and you're going with somebody who really isn't into the movies, or they don't like Twilight after all, and I don't get this stuff, you're not going to enjoy the movie. Okay, we know that is not going to happen.
And that's one of those things too that you could probably learn about each other later and tolerate. But if you start off with that, just
I absolutely agree with you. And so I just think as a general rule, movies are a bad thing. What's another bad first date?
another first.
I got one.
Okay.
Going out to a restaurant.
Really?
Now, I know this surprises a lot of people, but I want you to
Surprises me,
understand
and
something.
I'm
Now,
good.
hang on. This is the first time someone's actually going to watch you eat. Now, for most people who haven't got any kind of relationship, they don't know each other, they're going to try to make conversation around putting things in their mouth. Now, think about it.
But it gives you time to think.
And stare at your plate.
Honestly, I do try to choose things that are easy to put in my mouth. I never get burgers on a date because I have to go.
Right. You'll tend to choose the little things you can put in and continue on a conversation.
Right. It just I don't.
You can't enjoy the food.
I'm a delicate person, but in general, I don't eat.
I'm just going to tell you, I think it's a bad first date. Now, it's not bad to eat on your first date, but if the date is centered around going out to this particular restaurant, I think it's a bad first date. There's more things you could do that would be better, because what's the purpose of a first date?
To get to know the other person.
And to have them know you.
Right.
Now, I know it may sound funny, but yeah, you do want to find out about them, but you also want to reveal things about yourself. So, an ideal first date would always be centered upon those things which are going to feel like I'm learning something about a person, or they're learning about me.
Okay.
So, what are the best kinds of things you can do that are like that?
Speaking formulaically, I think it's probably best to go out and find out what the date enjoys personally. That's something you have in common.
All right.
If you've got the time to think about those kinds of things, I know plenty of guys who've looked at me and said, "Let's go to a bookstore."
Okay, now let's talk about the bookstore for a second.
Okay.
If you're going to go to a bookstore, first of all, is it going to be expensive?
It depends. Are you going to buy them a book?
even if you are, it's not only going to be $20 maybe at the most.
True.
So if you say, all right, let's go to a bookstore together, are you learning something about the person on the date?
First time I went to a bookstore on a date, the guy challenged me, said you're going to find 3 books. A book that you like, a book that you think I would like, and this was after dinner, and a book that you would recommend to me that you like.
And you didn't marry this guy?
No.
It's one of the smartest first dates I can think of.
He had been married once before, and he had a son. And the reason he asked me out is because he asked me to draw a picture of him and his son as superheroes. His son as Batman, and the father as Robin.
Oh, that is so cute.
It was really adorable.
And you let him get away.
Well, he asked me to do this for him
kidding.
because he wanted to ask me out, and I delivered the picture to him on this date. But he took me out, and it was charming. And we had to spend time away from each other for a minute, but when we got back together again, we exchanged books and talked about them, and he figured out what I had learned on the date, if I was paying attention or not.
Okay, great first date because it matches the criteria of what we're talking about. Getting to do something, it's not threatening.
Right.
You're not too dumb to go to a book store or whatever. You know, another one, I know it may sound really cliche, is to go putt-putt golfing
miniature
or miniature golfing.
Yeah.
Now look, I'm sure out there's some professional miniature golfer. And it really matters to them what their score is. Most people, who gives a hoot? I don't care.
And if you do terribly, it's still fun.
Even the worst miniature golf, you can still have fun, okay? And you're not trying to be competitive, right?
Not or playfully competitive, because there's no serious victory to winning.
Right, and so if the guy is just skunking you the first 9 holes, and you accidentally hit his putter on the way toward the ball.
So
sorry. Oh, wow,
oh
bad luck.
Ah,
Sorry.
the wind, did you see that? It was just...
Yeah, does that mean your zipper's down? Just as he's about to hit it, hey, all right, that's funny. And you can bring out a lot of things about the person. Once again, you're learning something about the individual. I'll tell you a date that I went on in college when I didn't have much money.
Oh, by the way, you're talking the whole time.
Well, that's exactly right. You're talking the whole time. You're sharing something.
Mm-hmm.
Look, and by the way, after the thing, you go play video games. I like to go to a video game and play not against each other, but with each other. So have you ever seen the things where you can actually be on the same team?
Mm-hmm. Like the shooting, like the...
Time Crisis was a popular one. But if you're not, air hockey's a crappy game to play on a date.
Mm-hmm.
Because some little
Why?
girl...
I'm very good at air hockey.
That's the problem. If she beats a big guy, he's going to feel like, oh, I'm a weak little girl.
I have made some guys feel bad on the date because he doesn't realize how good I am.
Casey, if a guy cries on the date, it's not a good first date, okay?
It's okay for me. I learned a lot about him.
That's right. Make a man
He
cry.
learned about me. I'm competitive. Like things that I'm good at.
I am just saying, good first dates always match that criteria and you start again, which is very cute.
It's attractive. Getting to know me.
Yes, that's get to know me! And if we have a date that is going to work, it'll be because you've gotten to know each other. You don't have to spend a lot of money, but those things which are embarrassing or don't allow you free flow of communication are not going to be good.
What else are good dates then?
Well, by the way,
people struggle and they try to trade off ideas about what's a good first date all the time.
Well, look, just the simpler things like that.
Well, you've always liked creative things.
Well,
like baking cookies together.
No, baking cookies or coloring book.
Well, you're creative.
I'm a very creative
and artistic.
person.
And I would not mind a date like that. But some girls would say, that's just too artistic. It's like trying too hard.
Oh, look, like the coloring book date has always been a real favorite of mine.
It's a good college date, by the way.
So, you get a coloring book and you have some crayons and you're going, and then, by the way, at the end of the date, you give the book to her to take home and finish.
What about classes, taking classes together, cooking classes, dance classes?
Well, for those one things, yeah, I think it can be a lot of fun. But once again, you're doing something together, learning something. It's not my wheelhouse. If you're a professional ballroom dancer, it's a crappy first date.
Oh, what about dances? I have to ask you that because we're running out of time.
Okay, dances are just lovely places to meet people. They're terrible places for a date.
Even if you've gone on several dates before?
Yeah. Well, several days before precludes first dates. I'm saying as a first date, a dance is generally not good.
Why?
Because you can't talk. The music is always loud. The lights are usually low. You can't see the person you're with.
We're going to have to work out some kind of chapter what to do when you're with a date at a dance. Because there is some criteria in how to do it. And I'm not one of those people who feels comfortable being glued to someone else the whole night. The point is you're there for multiple people.
Well, and if you know other people at the dance, you're ignoring your date.
Yeah.
So that creates kind of a difficulty. I'm not trying to say that a first date has to be cheap or a first date has to be super creative, but you'll always do better if you make that the criteria. How well am I going to get to know this person? And there are myriad things. Look, you know how to make cream puffs.
I do.
It would be great to have you teach a boy how to do that. You had a friend who was a sushi chef.
Sushi chef.
That's right. Great first date. If he showed you something you didn't know, and you could enjoy the experience that you're learning something from
I don't know
someone.
if I'd be comfortable going over to someone's house for a first date if I didn't know them very well.
No,
especially a guy.
I'm not really crazy about those things where you're putting yourself a little bit in someone else's hands. But meeting in a neutral location, bookstore, putt-putt golf, whatever, those are the kinds of things I'd recommend for your first date.
But, yeah. It makes sense to me. But the end result is that you're thinking about somebody else's needs and how to get to know them.
Okay.
Cinderella has to go.
Yes, she does.
We're timing these because we tend to talk for a very long period of time. They're watching these. They know who the talker is. So we're trying to cut these short to about 10 minutes. And we hope that everybody has enjoyed these so far. We don't know exactly what's been successful and what hasn't been successful. We're just talking. And usually when we talk, it's hours of information. So if anyone has feedback or things that you want to ask my dad or something, or you have suggestions for us, like timing, or maybe you prefer arcs or something along those lines, if you want just a dating topic, or if you prefer just to have my father speak and me to shut up, I'm totally willing to have someone suggest that.
Totally.
I won't be posting them anymore, but I'd be fine if someone wanted to write that down. So comments and feedback are highly encouraged.
Okay, watch the next part because we're going to bring in Heather.
My little sister, who is 17.
18.
18. She's 18. Like, we're very close. Okay, we're done.